Hello dear followers, welcome to Turkish series stars. Before we dive into today's story, make sure you're subscribed, tap the like button, and share this video with your friends who can't get enough of Turkish drama and real-life intrigue. Now settle in, because tonight's buzz is all about Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu, and the way one unexpected remark in Madrid set the entire fandom on fire. The night that started it all was glittering and loud, with camera flashes bouncing off marble columns and whispers trailing behind every step on the red carpet. Barış Arduç had flown to Spain for a prestigious awards gala, charming the European press with the cool, grounded grace he's known for. Journalists were calling his name from every direction, asking about projects, about fame abroad, about whether he felt the same electricity on international stages as he does back home. Then someone pressed forward with a question that landed like a spark in dry grass. If Barış and Elçin were to turn their on-screen romance into something real in life, the reporter asked, what kind of couple do you think they would be? The laughter on the carpet dimmed just a touch. Barış paused, gave the kind of small smile his fans know, the one that hides more than it reveals, and answered with a calm tone that felt deliberate. Barış and Elçin will never experience what you're calling true love, he said softly. Because reality is not a rumor. The life I live off camera is very present and very real. I wouldn't betray it, not for any storyline, not for any fantasy. For a heartbeat, the press line froze. Even the microphones seemed to stop moving. And then, as if the weight of his words needed a counterbalance, he added, I admire Elçin. She is powerful in her craft and graceful in the way she carries herself. If we're talking about acting, we both do our best to honor the characters we build together. My wish has always been the same, that we both remain happy, wherever our paths lead. That clip, barely half a minute long, made its way across social media within hours. But the seed for the storm had already been planted. In Spain, for weeks, tabloids had been humming about the fact that Barış had been spotted more than once at cultural events with a well-known actress based in Madrid. They were only seen in public spaces, always respectful, always guarded, yet the images were enough to invite speculation. Some fans painted the sightings as harmless, two artists making connections in another city. Others thought the closeness, even if innocent, was a sign that Barış had built a private life abroad that the Turkish press hadn't fully grasped. His remarks that night, though rooted in caution and respect, sounded to many like a line drawn with clear ink. What happens on set stays beautifully on set, and the real heart remains elsewhere. Those who love him praised the maturity of his statement. Others watched the video over and over, insisting they saw a flicker in his eyes, a memory, a hesitation, that whispered of a more complicated story beneath. As dawn broke back home, the conversation shifted toward Elçin Sangu. How would she feel about the question, about being linked, yet again, to a romance built by script in front of the entire world? Insiders who have worked around her for years claim she's seen it all and heard it all. And still, word slipped out that she found the whole exchange a little too personal, not because of what was said about her, but because the subject refuses to fall asleep. It keeps waking up every time a new project brings the two together, every time a photograph circulates with the warmth of their shared scene work. Friends close to her say that Elçin handles these waves the way she always does, with poise, with a schedule loaded with work, and with a knowing smile that makes gossip feel small. She didn't run to the press. She didn't call anyone out. She didn't deny the past magic that fans still celebrate. Instead, she did something simple and very Elçin. Late that night, without fanfare, she posted to her Instagram story. It wasn't a selfie. It wasn't a behind-the-scenes moment. It was a single sentence on a dark background, a quiet phrase that set timelines alight, real things don't shout. They don't need applause. Within minutes, the screenshot spread like perfume. Fans rushed to comment, she answered without anger. She said everything without saying anything. She closed a door and opened a window. Some even suggested it was her way of protecting what matters while honoring what never belonged to her in the first place. Not all agreed on the meaning, but almost everyone agreed on this: It sounded like a woman who refuses to let noise define her. Meanwhile, the set where magic keeps being manufactured stayed in motion. Barış and Elçin reported to work like always, checking call sheets, running lines, building scenes that make hearts thump against screens. A crew member, speaking quietly to a reporter, described the atmosphere as focused but tense. "She is a professional," the person said of Elçin. "She shows up, she does the work, and she doesn't let the chatter change the rhythm." But the pressure lately? It's been sharp. Everyone can feel it. She just wants the camera to see the story, not the headlines. And yet, the show soared. Ratings climbed. Clips trended. The chemistry between the leads, the kind that launched 1,000 fan edits years ago and shows no signs of fading, was still undeniable. The more the outside world tried to define what it meant, the more the art itself seemed to whisper back, "This is enough. You are watching what you came to see." Still, the rumor mill rolled on. The same sources that magnified the Madrid moment began whispering that Elçin might be ready to push her career across borders. Meetings, they said, were happening with a respected European production company. A new script had crossed her desk, the kind that would place her in a multilingual world, on a fresh stage, under a different kind of light. Some wondered if it was a strategic move to rewrite the spotlight. Others thought it was simply the logical next step for an actress who keeps surprising people with the roles she chooses. Barış, for his part, moved between continents more often this year. Work, philanthropy, creative planning, he has a way of keeping many plates spinning without letting any crash. And yet, even while he and Elçin walked their separate paths, their names refused to separate in the headlines. The saga of an on-screen couple who shaped a generation of romance in Turkish drama continued to trail them like a familiar melody. Wherever they went, the song followed. Some say the beginning of this new wave of attention started weeks earlier, when footage emerged of Barış stepping out of a theater in Madrid, speaking animatedly with an actress whose star is rising in Spain. She laughed at something he said. He gestured in that animated way he gets when talking about craft. For many, the read was uncomplicated, artists meeting in a cultural capital. For others, it was proof that his life had spread roots in a second home. The truth remains what the two of them have always preferred: quiet, measured, not for strangers to define. There's another layer that fans have brought up: history. The depth that Barış and Elçin bring to the screen isn't manufactured, it's built out of years of timing, trust, and a rhythm that can't be bought. That kind of connection becomes a language of its own, and fans speak it fluently. When he said in Madrid that real life would not be betrayed, newscasters clipped it as a soundbite. But long-time viewers heard what wasn't spoken, that the ability to work side by side with someone for so long, to build believable love stories without blurring borders, requires fierce loyalty to the life you've chosen beyond the lens. If you were on social media in the days that followed, you saw the battle lines forming. Some argued that his remark reduced the magic they'd created to routine. Others said it protected the very thing that makes their scenes irresistible, the knowledge that it lives safely on screen. Many simply chose to celebrate that both continue to evolve while holding space for each other when the director calls action. Then came an interesting turn. A columnist claimed that while neither would address the matter directly, the heat of the conversation had drifted onto the set. According to the piece, a producer had reportedly asked for tighter security around filming locations to prevent curious photographers from stirring rumors out of perfectly ordinary, workday exchanges. Nothing dramatic, nothing chaotic, just a small adjustment to keep work about work. In the middle of this swell, a small, sincere moment flickered and proved hard to ignore. During a short break on set, someone captured a distant, grainy clip of Barış and Elçin quietly running lines near a window, the late afternoon light pooling like honey around them. There are no grand gestures in the video. No dramatic pauses. Just two people who know each other's timing so well that they move like dancers. That clip, too, went viral, not because it shocked anyone, but because it reminded everyone why they care in the first place. While that tenderness soothed the noise for a moment, the industry side kept turning. Whispers of Elçin's European talks grew louder. Some insiders said the project had a schedule that would overlap tightly with her current commitments, which meant 1,000 details had to align for it to happen. Others whispered that seeing her explore a stage beyond Turkey might be the breath of air she's quietly wanted, a way to be viewed not as a chapter, but as the whole novel. And through it all, there was the matter of that single sentence posted to her story. People kept returning to it, quoting it under photos from years past, pinning it to fan edits, setting it as captions for sunlit portraits of the two. It became a mantra, soft and stubborn: real things do not beg for validation. It felt like a line that belonged in a script, but was lived instead of performed. Eventually, the microphones found Barış again. It wasn't Madrid this time, but a quieter gathering, a charity event where cameras stayed at a respectful distance. A journalist, perhaps more cautious than his Spanish counterpart, asked if he wanted to add anything to what he'd said earlier in the week. He didn't deflect. He didn't push blame. He simply said, "I don't play with people's expectations, and I don't trade feelings for headlines. My only wish is that we remain happy, both of us. We've shared stories that audiences love. That is a gift. Beyond that, life belongs to the people living it." The quote traveled far, not because it invited scandal, but because it didn't. It closed a circle. It made sense of the previous remark without softening it too much. It sounded like a man who has learned where to place the walls and where to leave windows open. There is a tenderness that fans recognize in this ending. It isn't dramatic. It isn't designed to shock. It's the same thread that has always tied their story together: two artists who have lit up the screen, who have navigated the currents of fame and rumor, who can occupy the same frame with ease and then walk back to separate lives without breaking the spell. So where does that leave us? With a set that continues to churn out moments that keep viewers glued to their seats. With a possible leap to Europe on the horizon for Elçin, the kind of leap that could add new color to her already rich palette. With a travel-packed year for Barış, full of work that stretches beyond borders and a private life that remains just that, private. And with an understanding that their connection, celebrated and analyzed, sometimes too closely, does not need to be redefined to be revered. In a way, those words from Madrid say it best, even now that the dust is settling. Happiness doesn't always walk in the same direction, and it doesn't have to be real. Perhaps their joy belongs in different rooms of the same grand house, the on-screen room filled with light and applause, the off-screen rooms quiet, guarded, and deeply their own. If you made it this far, thank you for spending your time with Turkish series stars. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video if you enjoyed the ride. We'll keep bringing you the stories behind the stories, the moments that slip through the cracks, and the echoes that follow after the curtains close. Until next time, take care and stay tuned for more.